What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sunday Sports Club podcast with Allison and Kuch, a podcast all about sports told by a woman, and sometimes I have my husband on the show, like today. So every Thursday we huddle up where I give you the up-to-date, juicy sports news. Basically, I'm just giving you more digestible sports news than any other podcast.
Yeah, honestly, it's just kind of nice to talk about it casually, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like we're giving crazy stats here. Like, we're not statisticians.
We're a stat-free podcast.
Yeah, honestly, that's like, you're never going to be hanging out with friends and be like, oh, like, Justin Fields has 8. Like, it doesn't matter. It's more like talking about it generally, sounding like you know what you're talking about, and that's what we're going to do. So hopefully we sound like we know what we're talking about.
I feel like a lot of men memorize sports stats just to act like they know what they're talking about. Like, nobody actually cares about stats, but these guys use it as a way to be like, I know more than you. It's like, you don't actually know more than me.
Well, stats, if you don't know a lot about the game, that's like the easiest way to sound like you know what you're talking about. Like, oh, he's had 800 yards this season, but like, you don't actually know what you're talking. Like, let's get into it then.
Like, Isaac doesn't know any stats.
I don't know any stats. I mean, a little bit.
Speaking of stats, I feel like we can just jump into what teams are doing good, what teams are not doing good. And yes, I am saying that sitting from my couch, not playing football. So we can start off with the AFC. So if you guys don't know, the NFL is divided into the AFC and the NFC, and then you have the North, East, South, West in both divisions. So then you have, is that 8?
You have 8 total divisions and then 2 conferences. That's AFC.
Why are we already talking about stats? Who cares about math, Isaac? Okay, so
fine.
in the AFC East, we have the Bills, who are undefeated.
It's a big deal. Okay, let's just talk about this. In our first episode on the Huddle, what did we talk about?
The fact that everybody said Josh Allen is overrated.
Josh Allen is overrated and he's super high paid. Also, they just lost Diggs. Like, their team was kind of at this. Diggs was their star receiver. And they were kind of at this pivotal point where it's like, what are they going to do? They've also been good enough to go to the playoffs almost every year, but they haven't really done anything. And Josh Allen is having probably one of his statistically, we won't give stats, but statistically having one of the best years that he's had yet. And they're rolling. They're undefeated. We don't have their exact who they beat, but does it have their AFC record?
No, it doesn't.
Well, either way, they've played well and they've beat AFC teams, so they're putting themselves in a really good position.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Josh Allen was going to pan out after all of his relationship drama.
Does it matter? Yes, it matters. Relationship drama matters.
You think?
For sure.
Before, I don't know about that.
One of our good friends, by the way, he had one of his worst NFL seasons in the midst of a horrible relationship.
Oh, that's very true.
Like, literally, it altered his career because of that.
So you think if you're in a bad relationship, you play bad on the football field?
I think there's so many things that come on game day, like getting tickets, conversations, where do I park? Can I get sideline passes? Oh my God, I'm going to wear your jersey. And that can play into how you play. But Josh Allen, I guess he's in a good relationship because he's rolling better than he has in the past.
I think if your relationship affects your playing ability, you're a little soft. That's also coming from somebody who doesn't play football.
Okay. I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, you and I could get into a tiff and I can record this podcast just fine.
Yeah. Should have seen us earlier.
Josh Allen, do you think he has the potential to become the MVP? He threw 4 touchdowns in Monday's night game against the Jaguars, had no turnovers, no sacks.
Fun fact, my MVP pick is Andy Dalton. Shout out to Andy Dalton. He's a great guy. And
who's Andy Dalton?
He is the new quarterback for the Panthers because they just benched Bryce Young, who was the number 1 overall pick last year. And he's pretty much had a season and a half that's been underwhelming. So they brought in Andy Dalton. I think he's going to be the MVP. But Josh Allen, if they continue to win and he's playing like the way he's playing, he didn't get sacked one time or he didn't have any interception. So he's like playing really, really well.
So you think Josh Allen has the potential to be MVP this year?
Yes. My official pick for MVP for the 2024 season is Andy Dalton. I think he's going to have a great year.
I don't pick favorites.
The Panthers literally have not done anything. Like, literally, they were selling tickets for like 20 cents last year. And then Andy Dalton comes in and plays great.
So what do you think it feels like to be Josh Allen right now? Top of his game, engaged to Haley Steinfeld.
He feels great. And he should feel great. And the thing is with these teams in the NFL, like, you kind of have to get into that zone. When we had the best NFL season, when we were at the Chargers, we went to the playoffs. You get into a flow. Like, we were undefeated on the road for like 8 games in a row, and that became our identity. For them, in a weird way, they're kind of like the underdogs. Like, we know they have a good team, but their identity is very much like we're proving the world wrong.
And then we have the AFC North. And in the AFC North, the Steelers are undefeated.
Steelers are rolling. The reason it's interesting that the Steelers are rolling is because of the quarterback drama. They didn't really have quarterback drama, but all the Brads and Chads would be chatting about it because you had Justin Fields.
Well, you have Russell Wilson. Let's talk about Sierra's husband, Russell Wilson. And why is Russell Wilson not playing?
He had some injury issues. That's really why he's not playing. But now they're undefeated. So it's like you kind of just roll with the hot hand. Also, so this is a fun fact. In the NFL, your quarterback is your most expensive position. You look at all the major teams. Josh Allen's making
Except if you're the 49ers.
Except if you're the 49ers. But Josh Allen's making like $50 million a year. The Steelers have the cheapest quarterback room probably in the NFL. They have Justin Fields, who's making like, I think he's making like $3 million. Mm-hmm. And then Russell Wilson, who's making $1 million. So they're kind of like, who cares? If they're going to roll, if they're winning, they're going to roll with who they're winning, and then they can easily replace them.
Wait, how much is Russell Wilson making?
We'd have to cross-check it, but I think he only signed like $1 million contract.
What?
That's after being a MVP, being a Super Bowl champion, being a passing yards leader in the NFL.
He is sitting on the bench right now, so I guess not much to dispute there. Justin Fields has the Steelers at 3-0. He hasn't put up spectacular stats. Again, we're not talking about stats, but he has managed the offense well. Yeah,
so and I'm just going to pause you. So for a quarterback like that, and Caleb Williams is another great example, you need those guys to just manage a game. Like, manage a game and win ball games.
Yep.
So that's what he's doing. He's playing good enough. I'm proud of him.
It's so interesting. I mean, yeah, they beat the Chargers 20-10.
Yeah.
And he threw really accurately in the game.
I've been impressed with the Chargers too, so that was a disappointing loss. But Herbert was hurt.
You called it. You said the Chargers are going to do as well as Herbert is not hurt.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Herbert show, and he wasn't himself, in my opinion. I mean, he's a mobile quarterback. Like, I've played against him, been stiff-armed.
My husband got stiff-armed by Justin Herbert.
I had to literally block the word daddy on my TikTok comments.
Isaac blocked the word daddy and then became a dad. And so when people would say, congratulations, dad, the comment would get blocked. And so Isaac was like, why is my TikTok, like, a lot of people aren't commenting about me being a dad. That's because he had the word dad and daddy blocked because of Justin Herbert.
Yeah, because they kept saying, like, Herbert's your daddy, Herbert's your dad, eat grass. And I'm like, all right, guys.
Which, it's literally a turf field.
It's super embarrassing when you're as famous as I am and you get embarrassed like that.
Yeah, whatever. Moving on, we have the AFC South. Nobody's undefeated there.
Just who's winning the division? Texans are having a good year though. CJ Stroud, CJ Stroud
has the highest jersey sales. Which how much do you make for a jersey sale?
Less than $1. How much do I make? $0.
So if 100,000 people buy your jersey, you're only making $100,000.
So fun fact, I know a guy who decided to switch numbers and he had to pay back like $500,000 because if Nike,
shut up.
Those guys have separate agreements though, because they know they're going to sell jerseys. Like me, I just get Fanatics royalties on my 5 jerseys that I sell a year. They have different agreements. So if you just switch numbers, yeah.
Wait, so you're telling me if you're a big name player and you have jersey sales going on, and then you change your number, you owe money for changing your number?
This isn't fully fact-checked, but based on the conversations I've had, yes, that's my understanding.
Well, Isaac, you need to go fact-check yourself.
So, but this is
interesting. How do you call yourself an NFL player if you don't even know these things?
I don't know. I don't know how his jersey's the number one sold too. Like, I mean, I'm all for it. Like, good for him, but it's kind of just surprising. But he had a great year last year. They're playing great. They also got Stephon Diggs, who I mentioned, from the Bills. So just watch that dynamic between Diggs and Stroud.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the AFC West. AFC West is one of my favorite.
We've spent a lot of time in the AFC West.
Yeah. I mean, you spent time in the Chargers, the Raiders, and in the AFC West, you have the Chiefs.
Undefeated.
Obviously, they're undefeated.
They found a way. I mean, the Chiefs,
I feel like they've had some sneaky close games. I mean, with the Atlanta Falcons game.
Listen, when you have the best quarterback in the NFL, you win games.
You think how well a team does in the NFL is based on their quarterback?
Most of the time, yeah. Because here's the deal.
I mean, look at the Chargers.
With the way the NFL is structured now, it's becoming more of a passing league. So you need a really good quarterback. Here's what's great about the Chiefs. Even though, sorry, Swifties, Travis Kelce's not having a great year. Like, he really hasn't done anything.
Can I just say what the haters are going to say?
What?
Yeah, you're saying that, but you're not on a team.
You're right. I'm sitting here in the air conditioning, chilling, not playing a team, saying that. But here's what happens. Patrick Mahomes just had a quote, and he's like, everybody's talking about Kelce this, Kelce that. Kelce's getting double teamed every single time. Why does that matter for their success?
Because if he's getting double teamed, he can't get the ball.
Because if he's
right,
if he's getting double teamed,
right?
that means somebody else is not getting double teamed.
Oh,
so it opens up your offense. I mean, they have their running back. They don't have their starting running back because he had some mental health issues that he was dealing with.
Really?
Yeah, he like was robbed and like he was having PTSD from it.
Wait, that's so sad.
Yeah, so he hasn't played like the beginning of the season.
Do you think teams are understanding of that?
He's still getting paid. I mean, they gave him like a paid absence. So he's 4 games in, not playing, getting paid.
Wait, that's really sad.
It's super sad.
I hope he's doing well.
But Juju Smith, for instance, he scored last game. He's a receiver, bounced around a little bit. But like he's more open because Kelce's getting double teamed. So the point that I'm trying to make is the more balanced your offense is, like the Chiefs, the more fluid your offense is going to be. And when you have a great quarterback like Mahomes, he can control that. And it just changes the whole offense. So that's why I'm saying it leads to wins.
People online are saying that the refs favor the Chiefs.
There was a huge controversial call at the end of this Chiefs-Falcons game.
Yeah, the Falcons played the Chiefs, and the Falcons lost 17-22 in the fourth quarter. The Falcons quarterback, Kirk Cousins, threw a pass to the end zone on the fourth down intended for tight end Kyle Pitts.
Very much a pass interference.
It looked like Chiefs safety Brian Cook made contact with Pitts before the ball got there, but the refs didn't call a pass interference.
So, fun fact, super juicy for the gals that are listening. The head coach for the Falcons got interviewed after the game, and they asked him about the refs, and he goes, I like my money more than I want to answer this question. Because if he talks about the refs in a post-game conference, he will get fined. Jared Goff got fined last year in a playoff game.
If you talk about the refs in a post-game interview, you get fined?
Yeah. If that coach came on and was like, we lost this game because there was an awful call, like the worst call I've ever, he's getting fined. So he literally, there's a quote where he's like, I like my money too much to answer that.
I would not last long. I like to talk shit.
We know.
But this is the second straight week that the Chiefs have benefited from the officials as a defensive pass interference penalty.
Look, I'm not going to be the guy to get into conspiracies. The Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls, and it has been great for the NFL.
So what is a pass interference?
In its simplest form, it is when the cornerback interrupts the ability of the receiver to catch the ball, like wrongfully. Like before the ball is actually at the point of catching it, or like he grabs him before. I don't really. It's a complicated call.
I can't grab your hand away before you catch the ball.
If you're grabbing me like that, and for the listeners, Allie's grabbing my wrist. She's pinning it down. If the ball is still in the air and I can't go reach and try to catch it with both my hands, it's a pass interference.
Can you trip somebody? Would that be pass interference?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes at the end of a game, if there's a ball that's going to be caught and somebody would easily score, it's a smart penalty.
It's an easy way to get down the field.
Yeah.
So you can also use penalties to your advantage.
Yeah.
If you're offense.
If the receiver's in the end zone and there's that penalty called, you split the distance between the end zone and where the ball's at. If it's like there's more space, it's from where the penalty's at.
It sounds like we need to put this in the Q&A episode because there's a little bit more to it.
It's
but how do you
explain.
think, I mean, you're not in a post-game interview, so you're not going to get fined. What are your thoughts on referees favoring certain teams? Do you think it's made up? Do you think there's validity to it?
As someone who's played, I've never seen an instance where like it's like legitimate where I'm like, this ref is for this team. But there's a lot of statistics about like home teams and like who's going to get more calls. So fun fact, we have a presentation every Friday in the NFL just on the refs. So like we'll go through the reffing crew because they have teams just like we do. And they'll be like, oh, this reffing crew calls holdings more than other.
You have presentations on the refs?
Yes. And they go through and they say, this crew, like the home team has won every time this year. So it is a little juicy. We get into it.
Tea.
Yeah, that's what we do all day. When people are like, what do you guys do all day? We're discussing refs.
It's literally like a fucking presentation on a ref. A pie chart, if you will. NFC is not my favorite. I'm going to be honest. I don't know why. When I think of the AFC, I just think of like bright colors, trophies. When I think of the NFC, I'm like, meh.
I think the AFC has better teams. That's my opinion.
So in the NFC East, we have the Commanders, Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys. All not kind of doing too hot.
Not doing too hot. Real quick before we get to the NFC, what's the Raiders record or the Ravens record?
2-1.
2-1. Wait,
No, 1-2.
1-2. Not great. Lamar Jackson coming off an MVP season. They're 1-2. Just got Derrick Henry.
Wait, how did we not? How did I pass over this when we're talking about the AFC? Can we quick update on Tua?
Oh yeah.
So last week we talked about should Tua retire from the NFL after having so many concussions. I don't think he should retire necessarily. That's not my decision. That's not your decision. I feel like it's him and his family's decision.
I would probably retire, but that's what I would do.
Exactly. I said you can't put your opinions on other people. I've learned that as a parent. But he was placed on IR until week 8.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about it?
No, it's good for him. I mean, the thing with concussions where it's difficult is by week 8 he's gonna feel great. But it's more of a long-term decision.
So during Sunday's football game, backup quarterback Skylar Thompson left the field with a rib injury. Then they put in Tim Boyle for the rest of the game.
Yeah. I mean, they're down to the nitty-gritty. They're gonna have to bring in a couple quarterbacks.
Yikes. I know a few quarterbacks that are looking for jobs.
Well, here's what's gonna happen. I'm I can play quarterback. You have a lot of trade scenarios too, because Bryce Young just got benched. So it's you could trade for Bryce Young.
The Broncos have 3 quarterbacks.
There's a lot that could happen. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Jarrett Stidham, he should be starting for the Dolphins right now. But you could go get these quarterbacks. They're gonna have to do something. Because they're losing. They just got tore up.
Well, yeah, the Dolphins just lost the Seahawks 3-24, which for the Dolphins are an incredible team. So it's crazy that they lost. And
what's important about that loss? 3-24.
They only kicked.
Yeah, they didn't even score. Their offense didn't even get to the point where they're scoring. So their offense obviously wasn't rolling. They're gonna have to figure it out.
So how do teams shuffle their quarterbacks around in a situation like Tua and then the backup getting hurt?
So in that situation, when your backup's hurt, you're onto the third string quarterback, they are absolutely looking outside of the organization for a quarterback. Because Tua's not coming back. If they didn't even score, they're already well, is this guy gonna what are we gonna do with this guy? So it's complicated.
How common is it for the third string quarterback to already be playing in week 3?
It never happens. Never happens.
So they're down bad. Why is it important for Tua to be at the games even when he's injured? Because Tua has been on the sidelines.
Well, I think if Tua is going to come back and he's telling the guys he's going to come back, it's just important for him to be in the locker room. Also, a lot of these teams, they're going to play twice. When you look at their division, the Bills, they're going to play the Bills twice. So for him sitting in those meetings, game planning as if he was going to play, it's just going to help them out later in the season.
Do you think a quarterback, when injured, can still have a leader role? Absolutely.
It's super crucial. I'm not going to reference specific teams, but it's just really important for him to be present. He's labeled himself as enough of a leader. He'll be good and he's going to be there and give his full effort.
In the NFC North, we have, incredible teams. Let's talk about the Vikings and Lions.
Yeah, the Vikings. Well, the Lions.
Vikings are undefeated.
What's the Lions' record?
2-1.
The Lions, I'm still I have.
Can you get off my Lions?
I just have a question mark on the Lions. I'm a Lions guy. I'm all in on Dan Campbell. I'm just I don't know yet. Daddy Dan Campbell. Zaddy Dan. I just don't know about the Lions. I'm excited about the Vikings though. Honestly, I'm a Sam Darnold guy. So Sam Darnold is the quarterback of the Vikings. He's had kind of a complicated career. The majority of his career was with the Jets. That's where he got drafted. But he went to the Panthers. He's just kind of been... Wait, I don't know if he started with the Jets. You guys can cut that out.
See, NFL players don't know everything.
Sam Darnold, he's just kind of bounced around and he's one of those quarterbacks where he needed to land in the right situation. Baker Mayfield's another example. And he's playing so well with the Vikings. Also, the Vikings are probably so excited. Kirk Cousins was making $45 million last year. They get rid of him. He goes to the Falcons. And then they're like, Sam Darnold, we'll pay you... he's probably making 15. It helps your whole offense. And he's playing well, so it's a little bonus.
In that same division, we have the Bears, which...
Caleb Williams had a better game last game. So he's...
1-2.
It's, it's a redemption trail for him, but they're just going to have to figure it out. He's going to have to learn and figure out a way to be consistent. I mean, like great quarterbacks in the NFL, like Patrick Mahomes, they're going to be consistent. Like he's playing well every single week. And we talked about it. They're great game managers. But he had some good throws. Like he had better throws that like, you're like, okay, I can see it, Caleb. Okay, let him know, Caleb. No, he was better though. I was excited for him.
And then we have the NFC South. Saints are 2-1. Bucks are 2-1. Falcons 1-2. Panthers 1-2.
Listen, I am all in on the Bucks. I'm like a Baker Mayfield guy because Baker Mayfield embodies everything that it means to be in the NFL. Went to the Browns, played well with the Browns, still got released, and then just literally went on like a bounce around trail. Went to the Panthers didn't want him. Went to the Rams didn't want him. And then finally he's landed somewhere where he fits. Also, he had a really good quote just talking about him versus Tom Brady. And he was just saying like, look, like Tom Brady does things different. He had this building a little bit more tense. And, you know, Baker's putting his name on that team and like making it his own. He's not just falling into whatever they want him to do.
And Baker's a dad now. I feel like that plays into it. He knows how to like
Daddy Baker?
Isaac.
No, but it's cool. It's cool because that's the issue that he's had. Every team that he's been on, it's like Baker needs to do this. Baker needs to be this guy. He's with the Browns. It's like finally it's like Baker be Baker and go play well. So I'm all in on the Bucks. I think they might make a little run. He's another MVP candidate. If he has a good season, like he's an MVP candidate.
So the Eagles played the Saints this past week, and tight end, I can't say his name, Godert, like Gogurt, but
It's probably
Godert.
Dare.
Okay, sure. Had a one-handed grab with a 60-yard pass.
Yeah, which is rare for tight. You don't really see tight ends just one hand grabbing. But I think the bigger thing with
How hard is it to catch a ball with one hand?
Never done it. So it's got to be super hard because I'm so great. But
I feel like I could do it. I have big hands.
I feel like the Eagles, like, and they're another team that I still feel like I have a question mark on. Like,
they're really missing Jason Kelsey.
Really missing Isaac Rochelle. But they have a great team. But it's like I feel like this year they just haven't put the pieces together like people would want to see.
So Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
Saquon Barkley.
Give us the stats. I know you have the stats.
Who is Saquon Barkley?
I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time with him.
But what position does he play?
No, it's funny because I thought I know you were asking who is he, but I thought you were like, who is Saquon?
Oh.
No, Saquon is a running back. He just came from the Giants. So fun fact, Giants and the Eagles are in the same division. So him making that switch with those fan bases, like people from New York don't like Saquon. Because he could have went anywhere in the league, and he's like, no, I'm going to the team that plays them twice a year and can stop them from playoffs.
Oh, that's the same reaction when you sign with the Raiders?
Yeah, it was personal.
Nobody cared.
No, but Saquon Barkley is like great running back.
So yeah, he was signed in the offseason, and he's been huge for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, he balances them. I mean, they have a great receiving core.
Do you think the Eagles knew that he would be big for them, and that's why they signed him?
Totally. He does a lot. So, like, he's similar to McCaffrey. Like, both of those players they can catch the ball and they can run, which opens up your offense a ton.
Not on the topic of Saquon Barkley. The Eagles' defense struggled badly the first 2 weeks of the season, but they rebounded against an offense that scored 91 points in wins over the Panthers and Cowboys. So, do you think defense is really important? I think defense is 50% of the football game.
But they always say, like, offense, great, but your defense and special teams is going to win championships.
Really?
For sure.
Why?
They don't score, they don't win. Also...
But if you don't score, you don't win either.
You can kick a field. There's ways to find a way to score, but if they don't score...
So you think you can win a football game with no offense?
No, I'm just saying that, like, a defense... You have to have a good defense and special teams to win championships. Special teams, because special teams can absolutely ruin your game. Like, you have a dumb special teams mistake, your game, like, momentum switches, everything's over. Good luck.
And then we have the NFC West, Seahawks, Cardinals, Rams, 49ers, but the Seahawks 3-0.
Seahawks are rolling. They've got, the thing that I love about the Seahawks is they have Julian Love and they have Rayshon Jenkins. They have like two really, really good safety / cornerback / dimes, like guys that can play a lot, and it just changes everything. And I'm a huge Geno Smith guy. Like, I am bought in on Geno.
And he is the quarterback for
the Seahawks. Because here's what happened with Geno, and not to just get off on these tangents. I'm a guy bounced around the league. Like it's been annoying for me to always have to prove myself to people who like don't get how great I am. Geno's the same way. He's like Baker, where he like bounced around. Nobody thought he was good. Everybody wrote him off. And then he goes and signs a $100 million contract with the Seahawks. Like he's that guy.
Well, I remember when he was a backup for the Chargers.
Nobody even cared about him.
Yeah, well, you with the Chargers, yeah.
Yeah, and remember he got released and I tried to get his apartment.
He was also a backup for Russell Wilson.
Yeah. No, I really do like Geno. Again, his story and Baker are like the same, but Geno's a little bit older. But I'm all in on him.
Going back to the Philadelphia Eagles, Jaylen Herz has 26 turnovers since the start of last season, and that's the most in the NFL.
Yeah, sneaky. Listen, turnovers will tear you up. And
he threw his fourth interception in the second interception in the end zone in 3 games.
It's really bad.
Do you think that makes him a bad quarterback?
There's a lot that goes into this. But right now, he's just not playing great. There's more that goes into just a quarterback throwing interceptions than just the quarterback. It could be like tip passes. It could be like your connection with your receivers are off. Maybe, it's like a relationship. Like if you're not...
If Isaac's not filling up my water bottle at night, we're going to have a fucking problem.
This is personal. But if he's not connecting with the receivers and like they're running routes that he's not really into, like it could throw everything off. Like that's why Kelsey and Mahomes have seen so much success because... it's backyard football. They're just connected.
Are interceptions super dramatic for quarterbacks?
Yeah. But again, it depends. It's not always the quarterback's fault.
Who else's fault could it be? His girlfriend?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Actually.
I'm kidding. Jaylen Herz is in a happy relationship.
He just got engaged.
Yeah. But
there's more that goes into it.
What else goes into a quarterback interception beside the quarterback throwing the interception?
Miscommunication. Like... there's different routes. So like a receiver, when he lines up and he's thinking about the play that he's going to run, there's like a route tree that tells him what he's going to do. So like just a number of different things he can do. If him and Hertz are not aligned, like Hertz has a clock in his mind, like he knows where he's throwing the ball regardless. So like if the guy doesn't take the right step and come back, catch the ball, it could be an interception just because they're not aligned.
What about offensive line?
What do you mean? Like how that plays into it?
And interceptions.
Yeah. I mean, if he's under pressure, like I'd be curious if we had our statistician working.
Nope. Sorry, no stats.
We'd break it down and we'd be like, how many times is he getting pressured? How many of these throws is he sitting in the pocket and it's a clean pocket and he's throwing it? So a lot that goes into it.
What's the pocket? Like a dress with pockets?
It's like when you go to the game and like they take pictures of the people, like the pocket on their pants.
No, it's not.
You were listening to that explanation.
I was like, what is he talking about?
No, the O-line, like when the ball is snapped and they say it hard.
Isaac, I'm wearing headphones right now.
The O-line creates this nice little like U, and that's where the quarterback sits in.
His pocket.
That's like the pocket. It's like a little hot pocket.
Pocket awareness.
Like a ham and cheese and broccoli.
Pocket presence.
Yeah, that's the thing, pocket presence.
Do you think if a quarterback has bad pocket presence, they might throw more interceptions?
For sure.
Ooh, look at me go.
One of the best quarterbacks of all time. Who is it?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, if we had his film pulled up, I would just be looking at him in the pocket and we'd be like, man, this guy has great pocket presence. Short quarterbacks have worse pocket presence.
So speaking of turnovers, the Commanders won over the Bengals. And the two teams combined for 0 punts and 0 turnovers. And it was the first game since at least 1940 to feature 0 punts and 0 turnovers.
I don't even know how that's possible. Like, I'm actually like thinking about how that even happens.
In 84 years, that's never happened.
It doesn't even make sense. It's hard to even talk about because I'm like, I don't. Yeah.
So in your mind, would you say that's a good game, like an interesting game to watch, or do you think that that's a bad game?
Well, when you think about like time of possession, like how much action is actually happening, like it's less special teams, it's probably a better game to watch. And it's also, if that's the case, going to be a what? If that's the stat line, what would you expect that game is going to be? Very blank.
A lot of yards.
A lot of yards, very high scoring. Because instead of punting, teams are kicking field goals or scoring.
Is scoring 38 points in a football game a lot of points?
That's a lot. On average in the NFL, if defensively, if you keep a team under, like 20 points, you got a great chance to win. Offensively, if you score over 30, 35 points, like you're probably going to win the game. If your defense is playing well.
I mean, how much did a punter make in that game? And he didn't have to go out there and play.
I mean, the minimum that a player could make in the NFL is like $80,000 a game.
I would love to make $80,000 to not have to go up and do my job.
He made $80,000 and didn't even touch a ball of somebody else's.
I was Isaac, you play in football games all the time and you never touch the ball. Actually, you've only touched the football once in a football game.
Yeah.
Well, no. I'm sure you've touched it before.
Yeah. I just kind of like try to find ways.
Like a strip sack?
Yeah. No, I've never gotten a strip sack in my career.
Interesting.
One time I had my hand on the quarterback's on the ball while the quarterback was holding the ball too. And his hands were stronger than my hands. So I didn't get I was like trying to pull it and didn't get it.
Maybe we shouldn't release that information.
Tannehill. Or no, it was Marcus Mariota.
Maybe we shouldn't release that information.
Yep.
Last thing. Is Aaron Rodgers back? Jets beat the Patriots 24-3 last Thursday. And he said, we're trying to build something special here to get these fans to believe in us.
Listen, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He will be until the day he retires. So we'll see. Still got some question marks on the Patriots. It's tough to even say like how good of a win that is. But for them, for the AFC where they're at, it's a great win. I like Rodgers though.
So what Aaron Rodgers said about we're trying to do something special here to get the fans to believe in us. Do you think NFL teams ever try and win for their fans?
It depends who you're playing for. Like I've played for more transactional teams, like how we deal with our fans. Like the Chargers, I loved the fans that we had, but like we weren't going to games like, oh, we're winning for the fans. The Browns fans would turn on you. So it's, you may not be like, we're winning for the fans. Raiders? Okay, turn me up.
Yeah.
And that the Jets,
they're diehard. They would die for you.
Also, the Jets have like not been good, but like their fans are ride or die. So I like it. Also, what are we talking about? Aaron Rodgers making $50 million a year. He's the face of the organization. He has to say that, but I'm sure he believes it.
Who do you think are the most tortured fans in the NFL?
Browns.
Really?
The Browns.
I don't know. I feel like they've been having better years.
But they don't do anything.
And they had Allison Kuch at one time.
The issue with the Browns is like they're kind of good every year.
Yeah.
Like every year you're like, they could actually be really, really good. And it's tough. But there's something in the water. But I do think that they're in a really good place. Like I think they've got a great team.
A close second is unfortunately the Detroit Lions.
Why? They just haven't been good. And then last year they were excellent.
Yeah, but they were so close and then it just slipped right through their fingers.
Detroit gave their city a Super Bowl last year. That was like, they did it. That playoff game to go to the Super Bowl in Detroit, like, I don't know that you can even get a better sports environment.
Super Bowl game.
That was a Super Bowl game for them.
Interesting. Well, that concludes week 3 of the NFL. What are your thoughts heading into week 4? What teams are you watching? Well, all of them, because we have a podcast.
I think you still have these question mark teams that's who I want to watch. Like I don't really have a team in particular. My toxic trait is the teams that release me. I watch them very closely. Some I hope they win. Some I pray that they lose. I won't say which one. But yeah, who do you have your eye on?
Isaac, that's bad energy. That's bad juju.
Wait, this podcast will be posted before I go to Notre Dame. I'm going to Notre Dame this weekend. Yeah, I'm so excited to go back to Notre Dame, though. So if you're listening to this and you're going to be at Notre Dame, I'll see you at the tailgate lot.
Literally nobody listening to this is going to Notre Dame this weekend.
If you're still listening to this podcast and you're going to be at Notre Dame this weekend, tag me in an Instagram story and I will 100% repost it. Anyways,
that is it for today's Huddle Up. I hope you guys are enjoying these little episodes. I think that they're just very digestible. Like heading into a football weekend, it's just an easy listen. And yeah, if you're not liking it, just let me know and I'll probably blame Isaac.
I know people love to hear my voice, so.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to tune into Sunday Sports Club podcast every Thursday and Sunday, wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, sports aren't just for the boys anymore. But I will have
They're
Isaac
for the men.
Isaac!
What?
But I will have Isaac on this huddle every time because he's helpful. Anyways, thanks guys for tuning in and I will see you soon.